Hello again. Yesterday I finally played in the Champions Chess Tour qualifier. Last week I missed it, I kind of forgot it. And this time I played. It was 11 rounds, rapid, so quite many games for an online tournament. I'm definitely not used to playing so much. To be honest, I wish it was like 9 or 7 rounds because it's just like a qualifier to a qualifier. So no need to play that much. There's not even that many participants, I think like 40 or something like that. Maybe a bit more. And yeah, I did kind of like reasonably well. 6 out of 11. I had a good start, 2.5 out of 3, and then things started going wrong. And yeah, I guess this is my level. And I've chosen some games. This one against Kazara Barazada 007. This was like, I guess, the craziest game I had this tournament. And I think he qualified. I think he was in the top 3. So I played the Najdorf, which is obviously very, very complicated. G4. Yeah, there's just so many crazy lines, and this is just like one of them. I'm not sure if I've ever looked at this move. Obviously, he wants to play G5, so I naturally stop it. H4, I just keep on developing. And this concept looks kind of weird because usually when you play h4, g4, you wanna put the pawn on g5, but here he puts the bishop. But still, it's a reasonable concept because I have trouble castling now that the g file is open and the h pawn is already on h4. Knight bd7. I'm ready to capture back on f6 with the knight to control d5. And he just castles queenside. And here there was like a tactical operation I missed. B4. I looked at this, but I couldn't make it work. But it's not like that complicated. Well, to be honest, it is quite, for a rapid game, it is quite complicated. Little check. And if white takes, there's a further check. And bishop f5. And white doesn't have time to pick my rook because his queen is hanging. But yeah, I missed that and I just developed. Kind of like trying to castle on the queen side would also be somewhat risky because of a6 and b5. So I decided to just leave my king in the center and attack on the queen side. And things get very complicated very soon. White is better. Knight d5. So I win a pawn, but things are still very complicated. And here, well, I noticed that the bishop on g5 is trapped, so I play f6. But it seems like this is actually a mistake. It makes my king even looser. And I will have, even though I win a piece, I will have eternal problems with my king. But I still don't, I'm still fine with playing this move because it's a rapid game. It's impossible to calculate all this stuff. Even in a classical game, I might play f6. So he checks. I finally win the piece. But he takes on e5. And now the problem is there's like so many pins. The rook is X-ray attacking my queen. And also the other rook is also X-ray attacking my rook. So you can see like all my pieces are in the back rank. I only have one piece on the third rank, the sixth. So I'm very like I'm not active at all. I try knight c4. Bishop h5 is annoying. I don't see anything else than taking it. Now he plays a tricky move, which might not be the best, but it's very like tempting to play. E6. He's trying to checkmate my king. I have to make luft for my king, so it can go to d8. He takes my rook, a block. And now I have some perpetual ideas with knight a3 here. Queen c2. So he makes a really good move. Rook c1, just defense c2. He's playing for a win, even even though I have so many minor pieces. g4, I try to block some lines. He attacks my bishop, queen g7. And yeah, he makes a mistake here. There was a not so complicated tactical sequence here of taking the bishop. I take back, and queen h7 threatens mate, threatens the bishop. So I will lose the bishop, and my king will still be in danger. So white is doing really well. Instead, he just exchanges the queens. And obviously here I was happy because my king is not safe. F5. I just attack and defend. And the rook on g5 is now trapped. Bishop h6. But things are still somewhat like complex here, surprisingly. White is up a pawn, and the e6 pawn is really annoying. g4 is dropping. I could have played like really safely with bishop e3, but then he's protecting h4, he's attacking d6, he's attacking b4, and I felt like this would just be a draw, and I wanted more. So I kept on playing. The only downside now my bishop on f8 is really passive, and my king cannot go anywhere. It's completely blockaded. Rook h1. And I think with the bishop, I think this made my life like much harder because now I'm pinned. White cannot take he cannot take my bishop because my g pawn just runs. That's kind of easy to see, but white doesn't have to take my piece. And there was like a simpler way of playing for a win, just like g3. He takes, and then I take with the rook, and this is like just much easier to play with the black pieces. Here I just had to spend a lot of time trying to figure out how to get out of this situation because the knight on f5 is just so strong. c3 I take, and I go hunt for the e6 pawn with my knight. e7, I just go hunt. Now his king is close enough, so he's actually threatening to take my bishop. So I have to push my g pawn. Now he finds another nice move. Instead of immediately capturing, he goes for check and then comes back. I do a little check. finally get out of the pin. But here I blunder. Here I blunder. I make the most natural move, at least in my opinion. But it's just a blunder. You can try to guess what it was. Not so complicated. So I should just play bishop g5, but I protected. And he took. And this was quite devastating. I just lost my bishop. And it hurts. And somehow he's up a pawn. And now he's playing for a win. And also the one problem is my king is cut off. So this is really annoying to play. I mean, it is lost. I try something. I mean, I lose one more pawn. But I still continue because it's not always so clear how you win. Like the knights can be tricky. It is said that like the knight endgame is the same as a pawn endgame, but it's not exactly like that. It's quite a bit trickier. And here I managed to do quite a bit of checks, which is annoying. A4, and now it's actually a draw. And it's not even a complicated draw. But yeah, with 14 seconds, yeah, it's just so easy to blunder. I do a check. This is still correct. Still correct. But king b3. And it feels like I didn't even look where his king was moving. I was like in this mindset of moving my knight on p2 and d3 forever. So I just moved back, knight b4, and now it's just game over. The knights will be traded, and yeah, there's nothing. But instead, knight d1. And the problem is for white is the knight on a6 cannot move because it has to protect the pawn. If he goes protect the pawn, I just go attack the king and the pawn. And there's just very little white can even try here. I attack the pawn, so he has to protect. And it's just a pretty easy draw. So yeah, that was a wild game. Unfortunately, I lost, but on the other hand, like in many moments, I was completely lost. And yeah, like a fun game, but the end result was not so great for me. And this game, this was the last round game. I'm just gonna show like one little idea, something I missed, like a little positional idea. So dragon is not looking so well anymore. I think there are some endgame lines where black is trying to hold on. I don't even know what that is. I think it's something like knight takes d4 and then bishop e6. And then just, try to hold on. It's pretty boring. And this normal d-file line, black is in trouble because of what I played, bishop d4. We don't want to take on f8 uh, because I lose the control of the dark squares. And the b file is gonna be like really annoying. Like at the moment, the rook on f8 is actually just not doing anything. The bishop on c5 is like very nicely placed. And to be honest, I don't even know all the details why we're not supposed to. I just know you're not supposed to. Just play knight e4, just trying to control everything, stopping queen a5. This is all theory. And I know this. But here, I kind of forgot like what I was supposed to do. And the move is h5, g5. And this makes a lot of sense because you have this same formation, let's say same mountain, and black has this kind of like a broken mountain shape. It's like a very harmonious. And when I leave my, so in the game I just played bishop c4, but this allows black to play f5 in many moments, getting some counterplay, and then it becomes more, let's say, dragonish. And I just play like somewhat reasonably, just try to develop my pieces a little bit, and g5. And this is the mistake I just wanted to show. Again, h5 here. You keep this nice pawn formation and basically break black's pawn formation. But my idea was knight f6. And I was hoping to get some kind of checkmate here. But after knight f5, I have nothing. The knight is protecting the mating square. It's attacking the queen. It's attacking h4. It's also controlling h6. And I have no way of attacking the knight. The bishop on b3 will be traded. So I have no time to play like c3, bishop c2. So the black king is surprisingly safe. And there will be a lot of suffering. Here I should play queen d3, like pinning the bishop. But I play queen g5. And now my queen is, like I was hoping to get some kind of attack going. But my queen is like just completely paralyzed. Has nothing to do. And my opponent quickly traded the rooks. And now he has a good knight versus bad bishop. And it's just tough to defend this position. And one more blunder. Could have still tried queen c5, going for like a checkmate. But I play queen a7, knight e3, and it's gonna be checkmate. And I resigned. So not the greatest game ever, but that's what happens when you play positionally stupid ideas. And this game I kind of like. I think maybe like my best game in this tournament. I played positionally quite well. So in the league, I played bishop g7 against Meshkovs and then knight f4, d6. Kind of similar, but here I played d6 first. Maybe a better idea. I'm not so sure. I think computer said both are equally good. And here I get to play e5 immediately before white has time to play d5. So it's an endgame, like an equal endgame. Not the worst thing that can happen in the Dutch. h4. Surprisingly, he exchanges. And this just makes my life easier. Now my king is happy in the center. His knight jumps around, but basically without a goal. a5, you can see I'm starting to push on the queen side. More space. And I kind of like this phase. First I make a2 a target. and then I will try to attack it. I will transfer my knight to a better square. Finally, it's coming to d5, going for knight b4. So he stops that. But let's play c5, b4. So I learned from my games because I analyzed my games a little bit between the rounds. So the previous game I showed was the last round, but I kind of made something like a similar mistake. And now I had this kind of, yeah, it's kind of funny actually. So in one round I didn't do this, a game I didn't show. Then in this game I do this positional idea, but in the last round for whatever reason I forgot this idea. So have to make the same mistake many times before you learn it. c4. So white is very paralyzed. The knight on b1 is very bad. I have many times I can try to sacrifice a knight or a rook on b3 and then try to promote. And here my first plan is kind of easy. I have to put my knight on d3 or f3. So I try to transfer my knight there. First rook d8. If rook d1, I'm just gonna trade the rooks. Play knight g4, knight e5, knight e3. And when the king defends the pawn, I play knight c1 and pick up a2. He just waits. I do what I want. And here I start thinking. I couldn't find a clear plan. I can play knight d3, but it's actually not training anything at the moment. So I decide to play first a controlling move, so he can never play knight d2. And then slowly open more files. Now the h file is open. I get my king in. Slowly it gets in. And again, I had to start thinking here because I had trouble finding a way to break through. And finally I find the way. All I need to do is exchange the rooks. Knight d2, knight e5. Actually a mistake, but he flagged here. So he could play f3. This is still winning, but it's more complicated than I hoped it would be. Like a simple way was g4, completely taking all white's plans away. Next is king g2, trade the knight and win the f2 pawn. If he takes my knight, I take back with the g pawn, and slowly I'll win the f2 pawn. That would be nice, g4. But I was just like I was keying on d3 square all this time. So I was just hoping to finally play this maneuver knight d3, knight c1. So when I finally saw it, the opportunity, I played it without realizing white's options. Yeah, f3, and things get messy. So yeah, anyway, this game was quite nice. Positionally, I was just comfortable, and I followed like clear plans. First put my pawns here on this mounted formation, and yeah, I could just dance around doing whatever I wanted. But yeah, that's it for now. 6 out of 11. Reasonable. Bye bye.